Isekai is a Japanese genre of fantasy revolving around a person or people who are transported and have to survive in another world, such as a fantasy world, a virtual world, another planet, either the future, the past, or even a parallel universe. And many of them depict how the main character or characters are usually used as pawns by the ruling authority, where if you have powers, they try to bribe, seduce, use magic so that you comply with their wishes, whereas if you don't have any powers, they try to execute you. And if they despise you for some reason, such as in The Rise of the Shield Hero, they'll make you public enemy number 1. So here is how you survive an isekai world. The first step is a pre-game, because you need to practice different skills and have a lot of knowledge in the case you get summoned to a different world. Number 1 is survival skills, which is a very large topic to learn about and get into. For some pointers, watch my previous video, Overcoming the Witcher Trials, How to Be a Witcher, for some better details. However, I do want to put in certain points that might not be addressed in survival videos or even in my previous video, which is that because it is a different world, that means you could be exposed to commonly known diseases but have no cure for them, like the Black Plague or HIV. And in hand with that, you may get exposed to a completely new disease unknown in modern society. And without modern medicine's luxury, you have to rely on whatever they have, which includes magic or even dangerous quote-unquote potions made of poisonous materials like mercury and sold as a panacea, a cure-all potion. Another consideration should be the fact that the food and animals there are not recognizable to you, so you don't know if they're poisonous or not and how to eat them. For instance, the Japanese delicacy fugu, or pufferfish, is very popular in Japan. And one reason it is so popular is because pufferfish is inherently poisonous, with its toxins containing something called tetrodotoxin and or saxitoxin. As such, the people that prepare the fish require at least 2 years of training to legally prepare and sell pufferfish. And so, be wary if you see the locals eating food that you have not seen before, because they may have taken a specific preparation method to make it edible. Tying into the previous point is that you may get sick just because you don't have a built-in immunity, such as the locals do. And this is a real-world occurrence that if you travel to a developing country and eat the local food there, you have a higher chance of getting food poisoning or another foodborne illness. There are ways to combat it, obviously preparation like before, along with basic hygiene. In lieu of modern medicine, you can try eating yogurt, which seems to both help soothe and prevent foodborne illnesses. Another possibility is monsters. That's right, you've probably been summoned there to kill some sort of demon king. As such, they probably have a lot of minions, which include different types of monsters. Now of course, just like with the food, it could be completely different monsters with completely different setups, but it doesn't hurt to learn about the common monsters that exist in our fairy tales. So I'm talking goblins, orcs, vampires, ghouls, zombies, werewolves, etc. And ways to learn about this is to indulge in the many mythologies of this world, along with reading fantasy novels and other fantasy genre-based video games, movies, TV shows, to get a good scope on what the monsters are and what their weaknesses and strengths are as well. You also want to work on your physical capabilities through training, meaning focusing on strength, speed, flexibility, agility, mobility, along with learning martial arts. And there are many videos, including ones I made, discussing how to approach this. The next skill to learn can only be described really as politics. That is the ability to manipulate, seduce, bribe, convince people around you in this new world. Because despite how kind and truthful the king or queen or the emperor or empress may be, or at least seem to be, and how the crown prince or princess may flirt with you and see you as a hero, you don't know what their true intentions are, but you know they're desperate to summon a whole fucking human being from a different world to fight their battles. And what's the sacrifice that cost? The lives of 10 people? 100 people? 1,000 people? And so they're desperate, and so they'll do whatever it takes to convince you or control you to doing what they want. And to combat this possible danger, you want to read up on this, watch videos. Number 1, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, a very famous, very old strategy guide created by Sun Tzu on how to fight wars and win them. And if you modify the specifics to your own life, it can be pretty helpful. Another is 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, which are 48 rules and regulations on how to gain and sustain powers. And it's kept in a very interesting way where they tell you what the law is and describe a historical story of somebody using the law and somebody not using the law and their effects. And in this spirit, you also want to look up different philosophers and politicians and their ideologies and rules and regulations to have a better understanding of what to do in different scenarios. A great example is The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. And now you have been transported into the new world, and you are now facing a full court filled with royals, ministers, knights with deadly weapons, and they're all tasking you with the mission to kill some sort of magical evil entity. How do you proceed? Well, here are 6 tips by Conman Frank Abagnale on being out of your depth. The first tip is to relax and project confidence. Being nervous is a natural occurrence in a situation out of your depth, but to the people around you, it may indicate that you are unqualified, anxious, and other negative traits, and so you can just fake it till you make it. Even if you're not feeling it, it's absolutely fine. Just portray it out for the people around you, and eventually you may start to believe it. However, don't mistake confidence for arrogance, as even if you are summoned as some sort of hero, you can't insult the king or queen or high-level authoritarian figures, because these people lead armies, have political influence either through their job or their family. As such, if you try to insult them, they can trump up charges against you and then have you arrested and then executed under some false pretense. And this is all before you even get any abilities. The second tip is to dress the part. And for an isekai world, that means dressing like a hero. Shining armor, a traditionally handed down sword with magical capabilities, some sort of religious item if necessary. And all this is for the masses, along with other countries, to show that you are a beacon of light, here to destroy the Demon King for all of humanity. In the off chance the country you got summoned in betrays you, you can fall back on other countries with similar powers, and you have a built-in resume that is, you are the hero. If you lack great magical power, or any for that matter, the same rule applies, but instead of the hero, you have to choose a different character. Just make sure they're useful in combat or in politics to assure that you won't get removed. The fourth tip is to take notes, and Frank Abagnale describes jotting down phrases, technical data, miscellaneous information, names, dates, places, telephone numbers, thoughts, slang, etc. So what you want to do is hit the library as soon as possible, read as many books taking notes on policies of this country, along with historical facts, hierarchies, is it king, queen, whatever, along with listening to gossips from maids, servants, on who has the real power, who are fighting who, listen to formal and informal talks, and townspeople, learn the enemies, allies, and so on, whatever you deem to be useful. The fifth one is to be charming, and that means being very classy. So kind, polite, generous, especially to people that are poorer or sick, and also portraying being joyful, easygoing, always joking, kind of bending the rules, lets you make more mistakes than someone serious and strict. The sixth and final tip is to close your mouth and observe. This is especially important because it can help you blend into the crowd and not be as noticeable, and gives the people around you an unsure estimation of what your knowledge base is, what your attitude is, because they're not sure if you know anything or you just do but you don't want to say. But if you start speaking foolishly, it confirms that you are a fool. So unless you're going for that, which is also a good tactic, the general rule is to just stay quiet and listen. the next important task is to learn about magic, how to use it, and how to defend against it. However, because magic's rules and regulations may change and differ from world to world, I can't give you a clear answer on how to learn it, besides just facing it head on. And if you can't learn magic, then the next best option is to acquire magical tools, kinda like the Witcher would. So magic swords, magic bombs, potions, and if possible, to learn lesser magic that's more useful for household appliances, like making small fires or washing your hands. Anything is better than nothing. You also want to continue training your physical body to be in tip-top shape. And you also want to have a clear goal on what you want to do there. Do you want to go back home? Do you want to rule the world as the hero, the demon king, be royalty and noble, have a chill life? It's all dependent on you. And then you're going to have to make short-term and long-term goals, along with ways to achieve them in a very business mindset.